Hi everyone, this is Ernest Paul right here, and today's podcast is really important to me in a certain way because I'm going to be saying some things and making a demand that I've never made before. I hope this goes beyond just a good video to actually like hitting in the head, the issues that I have in heart. Some 15 years ago, maybe 17 years ago, something happened in this country. We came to the verge of a very historic shift. The culture of Nigeria was about to change forever. And I'm talking, of course, about that year, 2004, when Two Face, released Face to Face album, having ditched Plantation Boys, and that particular album that went on to sell like 2 million copies, became the trigger for the birth of a new counterculture in this country. The moral foundation of this nation, came under threat. A new future was being born. The way things were in the social dimensions, the way things were, in arts and culture, were going to be eternally altered, like radically altered forever. And I say this because back in the days when that revolution began, the Lord made me aware of exactly what was happening. He told me, he said, the social revolution that disrupted the whole cultural foundation of America 40 years prior was happening again in Nigeria. If you remember, or if you know history, in the 60s, America experienced a major historic shift that uprooted the moral foundations of all that the fathers had labored and built over the years. When these young boys, these young girls, in the hippie love movement came and then generated the counterculture, brought in new sound, brought in new philosophies, new ideologies, new cultures, new dress, new way of doing things. I mean, they totally disrupted America. What you see today in America, there's same-sex thing, there's gay marriage, there's abortion, all of this thing, this dumb stuff that you see in America actually have their root in that era. Now, I'm saying this because at the time when the Lord began showing me that a major disruption was coming to the foundation of your country, I saw it. I knew it. I understood it. As a matter of fact, I preached this in one or two platforms. I spoke about the rise, the entrance of the muses into our culture. Of course, in Greek history, the muses were 9 in number. According to Greek culture, they were the daughters of Zeus, who were under the hand of Apollos, and were responsible for shaping the arts, things like music, dance, poetry, history, and all of those kind of things. I mean, they were in charge. And the Lord said, now the muses have come into Nigeria and they're going to shift the whole historic foundation of this nation. Now, as a young preacher, I did not have the wisdom. I did not have the clout. I didn't have the influence that I do now. I did not have a voice. And so even though we saw it, we made a program out of it. We lifted up our voices in the small platforms that we had, but it didn't go far. We couldn't warn the church of the impending danger that is coming. Today we have this Bob Risky guys doing selling all of these ideologies and all of these things. We have all of this crazy stuff going, this Nollywood fielding, pornographic stuff and all of those things. Those foundations were created then. Now a new culture is born, a new generation has been generated. I don't know if you see it. I don't know if Christian people can see it, if they understand the level of change, of shift that has happened. I don't know if you know what is happening to your children. I don't know if you know what is happening to your teens and what is happening to the next generation. I fear that some parents might go to heaven and then be looking around for their kids and find out that the kids didn't make it. They went to hell simply because we did not understand, when the shift was happening and then how to change them. At any rate, in recent times, I wrote this book called Weaponizing Your Children. Weaponizing Your Children was born again out of a prophetic alarm, out of a prophetic discernment that something is happening in the realm of the children. This book majorly speaks about God's approach towards the impending darkness, what God says about it, and how we ought to equip our children to live in that dangerous antichrist regime that is coming upon the face of the earth. That's what this book is majorly all about. But recently, since I wrote it and released it, I've received letters, I've received email messages, I've received WhatsApp communications and all kind of stuff. People have sent voice notes to me, talking to me about the theme of this book. And one of the things that has come up repeatedly is the understanding that the next frontier of attack upon our culture is our children. Make no mistakes about it. Presently, the children are being assaulted, their minds are being attacked, like you read in the book and all of that. But Satan's plan, he has a major ploy to launch into the realm of the children. If he has them, we'll say the end of innocence. We'll say the end of as a matter of fact, the end of our future, because what is left of our future is in these children. And I was thinking, earlier on this morning about the way that we do in the church. I was reading a scripture in the book of Isaiah chapter 37, when Sennacherib came to attack, Judah and Jerusalem, and the king Hezekiah sent a message to Isaiah, and it says to him, Isaiah, this is a day of trouble, is a day of shame, is a day of rebuke, is a day of blasphemy. It says, because the children have come to birth and there is no strength to bring forth. Of course, we know that he wasn't talking about any woman in labor. He was actually talking about the precarious nature of the times in which they lived in. There was battle at the gate. There was confrontation. The enemy had marshaled his forces. The enemy had set embankments about them. They had been ambushed, by the enemy. And they didn't have the resources. They didn't have the training. They didn't have the competence. They didn't have the strength to rise up against that challenge. And so he says this is a day of shame. It's a day of utter rebuke. It's a day of blasphemy. And today we're in such a day, when the enemy has marshaled against us, the enemies are at our door. They seek to take our children. They're assaulting in that realm. And what are we doing? The same thing we have always done. Nothing. I wonder why the church is always slow at responding to things. I wonder why the church don't take things seriously. I wonder why we're just laid back. And there's this sense of confidence that we know what we're doing. There's this confidence that we're God's people and all that. But we've had this confidence, and then they're taking away everything, spoiling the nation, spoiling the things, and then we're confident, in the way we've done things. We have got to change something that we do. These children are being assaulted. During the week, my wife was watching video after video after video. And then at some point, she was crying when she saw the massive assault upon the children. She said, these things we read abroad, these things we saw abroad, these things we heard of afar off, they have come near to us. These children are massively being assaulted. There is no generation that's been assaulted like this one. The LGBT thing is there, the New World Order is there, the vax and all that is there. There's all kind of storms beating upon this generation, beating upon this generation. And what are we doing to respond to that? How have we changed the way we train them? How have we changed the way that we do things with them? Basically, we're carrying on as if there's nothing wrong, as if there's nothing happening, and just hoping in our heart that somehow, that because we trust in God, that things will be okay. But I've heard again repeatedly, news after news after news of children, even pastors' kids, that are sliding into homosexual lifestyles, sliding into things like gay marriages and all those kind of things. And even though they're believers, it's just because the way we train our children has got to change. Our curriculum for developing children has got to change. There's something fundamentally wrong in the way our approach to children. I was thinking this morning, the Chinese credited for being able to have long-term thinking. Like people say the Chinese can think and plan like for 500 years, up front. Now, we know that with the Fulani people, they have those kind of things. They come in a place, they lie low, when they don't have the strength. They have their agenda. Even after 30 years, 50 years, they have never forgotten that. They are strategizing. They are waiting until they gain strength. They can think and plan ahead. It seems to me like the only guys who don't plan ahead is us, the church. Because somehow we're full of religious pride. We think we have it all together, but open your eyes, smell the coffee. Something is happening. There's battle at the gate. What are we doing against this? About this. I hope that somehow we can start a revolution. I posted something on my social media platforms, recently, that actually said, can we start a revolution to weaponize our children? Can we? I've never started a movement before. I don't even practically know how it is started. I definitely I'm not going to pay for money, to push things in the flesh and all of that. But we're not looking for something in the flesh. We actually want the power of God to enter into our present era and let us do something. So I said, can we start a revolution? Can we shift something consciously? Can we wake up and be energetic, be deliberate about what we do? During the week, a few days ago, I got a message from one of the people who read this book. She used to be a Muslim, and when she read the book, she was scared, she was stunned. She said to me, she said, "Thank you, sir, for publishing this book, because I always wondered, why we don't have schools or institutions where we train our children, like those Islamia ones that trained us when we were young." She said to me, she said, as a child of 8, when I was 8 years old, I had finished reading the Quran from the first page to the last page. She said, I had finished, and then they flogged them, to do that. She said, you couldn't even come late, for the Islamia classes. And then if you're absent yourself at all, that's double wahala for you. In this book, I spoke about a friend of mine who, a ministry acquaintance who is a professor actually. He, at age 11, he had memorized the whole of the Quran, like memorized, the whole of the Quran at age 11. Now, those level of discipline, those level of engagement with the children, those level of things that they put in the children, we don't do that in Christendom. And yet we just hope that somehow, with our Jesus love me, this I know level of teachings, our children can stand up and face the battles ahead. They can fight the devils, they can fight Antichrist, they can fight those massive philosophies that are coming against them. You will have escaped something in your era, but these children, they have a dangerous world that is waiting for them, a world that is already threatening to swallow them. What are you doing about that? The call in this video is, let's start a movement to weaponize our children. Let's start a movement to revise the curriculum that we use in training the children. I'm proposing something. In every city in Nigeria, can we put this book in the hands of 300 pastors or in the hand of 300 Sunday school teachers? I want parents to read this book. The outlet was written for parents. It's actually tagged Kingdom Parenting. But more than parents, I want this put in the hands of people who can make decisions, like pastors, who can say, let's revise the way that we train these children. Let's change our curriculum. Let's imbue it with more. Let's do that. So if you would do this, buy a book or buy a copy of this book or buy 10 copies or something. Gift pastors. Send it not to parents, send it to pastors or send it to Sunday school teachers. Let's begin to invest into the next generation. Let's put our money where our mouth is. I can tell you something. If you want to be part of this project, perhaps I just felt that I should call it a Project 300. In the sense that let's put it in the hands of 300 pastors in each city. If you want to be a part of Project 300, the book will be supplied to you at a discounted rate. I'll supply this book to you at a discounted rate so that you can do this. I wish I could put this in the hands of 300 pastors in every city. Frankly, I don't have that kind of resource right now. The time will come when I'll be able to do that. But what I know that I can do, and I want to be able to publish the book again and again and again, what I can do is I can give you a very discounted rate, for this book, so you can put it in the hands of people. If you're interested in this Project 300 for your city, can you just reach out to us and let us do something? Let's start a movement. Let's do something in the realm of our children. Please, let's do that. Thank you for hearing me.